Gavin Stone and Luis Heel, two pitchers who might be trending in opposite directions. We'll discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Thursday, June 27th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. And first up, Gavin Stone was awesome. Turned in his first career complete game, his first shutout at the White Sox. A 4-hitter with 7 strikeouts. He had 10 whiffs on 103 pitches, down to a 2.73 ERA and a 1.12 whip. Scott, what do you think? Time to move Gavin Stone up the rankings.
Well, to a certain amount. I mean, it's hard to overlook that in his last 11 starts, he has a 1.90 ERA, 9.6 whip, only 6.8 K per 9. And that's the rub here for Gavin Stone. Even season-long stats, 7.1 K per 9. A pretty good 12% swinging strike rate to go with it. But ultimately, you need the strikeouts. And Gavin Stone is kind of in the same category as like a Seth Lugo. Just a number of pitchers we've seen this year sustain a remarkably low ERA much deeper into the season than we'd normally see it, just because of the environment, the offensive environment that we've had this season. I still think as the weather warms up, those numbers are going to normalize. That ERA for Gavin Stone is going to climb into the mid, maybe even high 3s. And we're going to see significant regression. Does that mean he's bad? No. I mean, he has a really good changeup. The slider's been getting more whiffs lately. He pitches for a Dodgers team that's great and knows how to develop pitching. I think Gavin Stone developmentally is trending the right direction, but there's just no question he's overperforming right now. So I can get him into my top 65 rest of season, but I don't know that I can go much further than that.
Let's talk about Luis Heel, who's had 2 rough starts in a row. He was at the Mets, 4 1/3, 5 runs allowed, 4 walks to 2 strikeouts. Over his last 2 starts, he's allowed 12 earned runs, 6 walks, 3 hit by pitch, and he is just, the inability to throw strikes has obviously become evident over these past 2 starts. The innings are catching up, Scott. So I wonder, okay, is he hitting a rookie wall? Is it starting to happen here for Luis Heel? What do you think about what we've seen recently? Did you miss your window to sell high on Luis Heel?
Maybe, yeah. And it's really been a rough 3-start stretch. I know you mentioned 2 starts. I say 3 starts because over that span, 56% of his pitches he's thrown for strikes, which is awful. It's going to be really hard to succeed if you're throwing only 56% of your pitches for strikes. Now, the 8 starts before that, which were very good, obviously, 63% of his pitches for strikes, which still isn't great, but it's workable. It's manageable. The reason why I can't say with certainty that this diminished control for Luis Heel in his last 3 starts is the innings catching up to him is because this has been a longstanding issue for him. Like, look back at April, how much trouble he was having throwing strikes, and throughout his minor league career, it's always been there for him. And it's just that 8-start stretch where he was dominating, it was a little bit better. And so we saw the stuff really play up. Luis Heel is excellent at hit prevention. He's a good strikeout pitcher, but he's got to throw enough strikes to make it all work. And these last 3 starts, he hasn't. Is it because he's tiring, or is it because he's just reverting back to his past struggles? I don't know. It could be either one. I think there are enough strengths here that, like, this isn't the end for Luis Heel. He'll have another good stretch, and maybe you could look at selling him then. But this is a reminder that not everything is roses for him. There are concerns to be had.
Let's wrap up with a news item we received about Garrett Crochet. So White Sox manager Pedro Grifol said that Crochet said this of Crochet: "We're going to start dwindling his workload down a little bit." Not surprising. We've talked about this possibility all season long. Is there anything we could do about it from a fantasy perspective regarding Garrett Crochet?
Well, could you read the rest of the quote? Because I think it's revealing.
So Grifol added, it's not something we're going to put out and say, here's what we're doing, because nothing in this game is black and white. He might have 5 innings where he goes 12 pitches or less, and we might let him go 6 or 7 innings. Even when we're trying to minimize his workload, it all depends on what he does.
Okay, so saying the innings are going to dwindle, I have no idea what that means. But in that statement, he acknowledged a lot of 5-inning starts and maybe even some 6 and 7-inning starts. So I think there's a temptation to overreact here, and you need to be careful not to. Could you try selling Garrett Crochet now and cashing in on what he's already done? Yeah, you could try. But if anybody clicks to find the latest news on him, they're going to see this and try to buy him for nickels on the dollar. You don't want to sell Garrett Crochet for nickels on the dollar. I think even if it's mostly 5-inning starts going forward with some occasional 6 and 7-inning starts, he'll be so good over whatever length of time he's given that he'll be worth starting in fantasy. There's a reason we didn't rank Garrett Crochet as a top 10 starter rest of season, even though he has that potential. And it's because of this, because there was always a chance of this. I still see him as a top 25 starting pitcher, even with this report.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Odyssey app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.